Obi-Wan, you're our only hope.
What's happening?
What?
Gotta clear my throat.
Well, as you can see, we've switched things up a little bit. So welcome to the slightly different Two Guys and a Girl podcast, everybody. To my left, the infamous Wally B. To my right, Big J.
Hi, everyone.
With his ill-timed Lakers championship hat on.
You know what? Actually, I had to have it.
Yeah, I mean, better late than never.
I had to have it on because I wanted to give a slight appreciation to somebody who got this for my birthday a year and a half ago. So I wanted to tell you thank you. So thank you for doing that and thinking of me. So good job by you.
That's what's up.
That's nice. That's so nice.
Yeah.
And me. How y'all doing this week?
Woo!
All right. You all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, cool. All right. So, gentlemen, how was your week this week?
You go first.
Okay. So this week was cool. I actually I signed up for the TikToker. Is that how you say it? TikTok hip hop bebop.
What are you, 80?
No, I'm just.
You be doing that on purpose. Like, stop, yo. You're not that old.
It's okay. Just embrace it. I now have a TikTok account.
It is okay.
Just say it out loud. It's very liberating.
It actually, the funny thing is like once I started like actually getting into like all the, the little videos, they were actually kind of cool. But like, I went on there originally because somebody told me about a famous TikToker by the name of Massage Pro. 2021, and so I started looking at some of her videos, and she started off talking about massage, but then she sort of branched off, and it's actually really good content. Like she got a nice couple of skits she has on there. She's very informative. I did a couple of things where I kind of trolled her a little bit because she had like a vaccine video, and I was just like, unvaccinated lives matter. So, a couple.
Let's start a war in the comment section.
Actually, no one said anything.
No, not yet. And I'm actually kind of glad for it.
Yeah, no.
He's talking about me, by the way.
Well, I just actually I've been meaning to show her a little support on this for a while, and so randomly on Wednesday night I ended up getting on there and creating an account and wanted to see what she was about, and she's doing pretty good on there.
Aww.
Whole time, if you watching TikTok, if you watching videos on the internet, you are watching TikTok videos, yo. Half them Jones, the little viral videos you'll see on Instagram or Facebook, on Twitter, them Jones is from TikTok.
It's true. It's true. All
You've
those
always
viral
had a
dances.
TikTok and didn't even know it.
I guess so. Like for me, it was just like, okay, fine. Like, because anytime I've ever heard about TikTok, it's always people doing like silly shit, doing
That's
stuff.
the stuff that makes the news. You know what I'm saying?
Like the crate challenges and all that, the weird little viral dances and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, the dances. I couldn't do that. But then the stupid stuff, like I think the bathroom video where like literally people are just like trashing the bathroom and taking the toilet.
Middle and high school kids now are like I think it might be dying down a bit because TikTok has kind of taken a stance against that and started banning and blocking kids who were doing that. But literally going in and trashing their ripping sinks off the walls, smashing mirrors, clogging up toilets.
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
Ripping off soap dispenser. I mean, just going nuts.
Yeah, because they they were doing it for clout. So TikTok's like, we'll just take the clout away and we're just not going to support these videos.
Yeah.
And then one common sense principle was like, listen, guys, like this is vandalism and this is a crime. Mm-hmm. Just don't do it.
Yeah, it's like, and if we can't get you, we'll get your parents.
Yeah.
And it was one of those situations. It's like you use the bathroom. At the end of the day, like you're really hurting yourself.
Yeah. It's like you gotta pee, can't do it here because y'all trash the bathrooms.
Oh, broke the toilet, so
no more toilet.
And most schools have like videos anyway, so like it's not hard to tell who's in there, and you know what I'm saying. So it's like who's in there last and all the rest of that. So what's up?
Oh, I think it varies from school to school. Like one of my clients who is a teacher, who her school was slightly having issues with this whole bathroom challenge thing. They had four main bathrooms on the first floor of the school, and then like 3 at the top, and they closed down, I think, like 2 at the top, so there's only 1 available, and then there were only 2 available at the bottom. So they, first of all, they limited the access to the bathrooms, and then they started making strict logs, like you had to log your name, the time you left to come to to go to the bathroom, and when you got back. So they were keeping strict records of like who was going in and going out of the bathroom.
Jesus, this is like what? This is like a
prison?
No, that's great. Nah. Like, give me a hall pass and let me chill and walk around the hallways for like 5 to 10 minutes, and I'll be back in class. Don't be making me log in and out.
Nope, not anymore. Not anymore.
That's crazy.
They don't do that anymore.
Well, I'm glad I'm not that age anymore.
Oh, you couldn't pay me enough to be that. I don't get people who are like, oh, I would just love to be 18 again. And I'm like,
what?
Why?
No, I was halfway stupid. Like, what the hell? I didn't know nothing. Come on now, no, nah. Maybe back to like 25 or something like that. Like to just kind of get stuff rolling a little better. But like, nah, not 18. I don't want to do that.
I mean, maybe they mean like before I had like big world responsibilities and had to be out on my own and doing stuff. But no, to redo high school again, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I just want to redo the football part.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Wasn't high schools around here like, well, you didn't actually go to high school around here yet, but like everybody here is like, because they had like their high schools were like 5,000 kids and stuff in them. So like, which is like crazy because like the most when I went to school was like 2,000. And even then they opened up that new high school Wise. Yeah. So then that even cut down the population even more. But like
that Joan Douglas is overcrowded like by like it was like 185%. The letter they sent in the mail right before Wise opened, they were like Frederick Douglass High School is overcrowded 185%.
Yikes.
And a lot of the kids in this area are going to this new school.
Yeah, because pretty much like I would get crowd phobia like my first 2 years of high school because it would just be like you couldn't like there was no time to loiter because literally you had to map out your whole weekday to make sure that because there was no I'm gonna turn around and go do this. It's like you had to stay the course and go there because if you didn't go there, you were gonna be late. And they used to be very anal about if you're late, you got to go to what's the name? You got to go get processed. It's like you got to go get processed, and then you have to do Saturday detention if you're late too many times. It's like craziness, bro. I'm like, do you not know how many kids are in this school? Like, I get what they were trying to do, but it just wasn't practical.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got out of public school by the time I went to high school because like that, there was a lot of things like.
Yeah, Madison was like your last public school. Yeah.
I wouldn't say that my high school experience was wild per se because I remember in middle school, like, hearing the stories about, like, clique wars and shit before I got to high school.
Yeah, West Side Story.
But kind of, actually. It was the...
where'd you go to high school at, though?
Jameswood High School.
Okay.
Up in, like, the very tippy top of Virginia.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
You went to the Wood?
I know that one.
The Wood?
That's the name of the school on the high school on Family Guy or the middle school on Family Guy.
James
Woods. Yeah.
Yep. When I first saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, my school's on TV with an S on it. But
nah, it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
But no, I mean, like our school was big. Like my class was like my graduating class was like 510.
Same.
But the classes underneath me were like 800. 900, like we had easily, I think at one point we had over 2,500, maybe close to 3,000 kids at the school. It was packed, it was busy, but I don't remember it being outrageously like, you had to like watch your six all the time.
Watch your six.
You didn't have to do that. You'd have to like elbow your way, like get out of my way. I gotta go to the other end of the school for my second class and then come back down to the other end.
Big?
it was big.
Yeah, Douglas wasn't big. That
big.
was kind of the problem. Like Douglas was not big enough for all the kids that because some of these schools were built like in like the 60s. Yeah, so you don't.
Jones had Douglas had 8-10 temporary trailers outside at all times.
Yeah, we ended up having to build 6 additional ones at some point. 6 additional trailers.
And if a school is too old, like you can't really do too many new additions to it. Like a school has to be kind of current-ish before you can start like adding on.
That joint over.
Yeah, or you got to rebuild and do a whole another school somewhere else. Yeah. So go ahead.
But honestly, this whole bathroom demolition nonsense, I'm like,
Like the only time it's appropriate to destroy a bathroom like that is if you're an athlete and you go to an opposing team's school.
No, we don't encourage this.
Saved by the Bell.
and you have to be playing a team sport where the team is very large as a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like you can't be like a basketball team trash in the locker room for real because it's going to be too easy to find out who exactly did what. What are they really going to do or say? Like who are they really going to talk to about it?
All of you, I guess, or nobody.
It don't matter because first off, we come into your school, we gonna whoop your ass, and then you gotta find out of 85 kids who were the ones trashing the locker room. Nah, just take that L.
Again, we're not encouraging that, but if it happens, it happens.
Don't actually break nothing. You know what I'm saying, for real. But if you trash some, throw trash. You know what I mean? Like people be shitting on the wall. It's cool.
Oh,
it's nah.
What? No. Oh, God. What is wrong with boys? What is wrong with you all?
Hey, man, I be asking myself that question. I don't know.
Anyway, leading us through to what are we watching on TikTok? What are we watching on TV?
Hold on, neither one of you said how your weeks were. I just said how my week was. You
Yeah, good point. We got so wrapped up in destroying bathrooms and locker rooms.
Yeah, I was like, wait, neither one of you said how your week was.
Wally, how was your week, bro?
It was cool. What did I do this week? I always be stumbling over this question because, you know what I'm saying? It'd be a overhead cloud of grayness over my last few weeks. I've just been, going through the motions, trying to make sure I'm not messing anything up in general, and trying to chill because my anxiety has been really high lately. But I've been okay. Everything's been fine. I didn't really do much this week.
And sometimes, you know what? That's okay. To have just a week where you're just okay.
Chilling.
That's okay. Because so many people go through life with just not being okay sometimes. And just sometimes having that bar of things aren't blowing up, but things aren't terrible. We're just in a nice, comfy middle. And that's okay.
Yeah, people act like you got to be high or low all the time. Nah.
So, Pink, how was your week?
Well, I got my hair did.
Yeah.
Yes, she did. I was going to say, we're going to highlight that. Yes.
It was time for a change. It was time for a cut. It was time for a new color.
I feel you.
Oh, yeah.
That's what's up. It looks nice.
Thanks.
Yeah, she pulls off colors very well.
Yeah.
It's because I don't care.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
It's because I don't care. The thing is, I spent so much of the first part of my life caring about what my hair looked like in the sense of, I couldn't do fashion colors. First of all, that's girly shit, and I don't do that shit because that's not who I am.
I play sports.
That's right.
No, you are good at setting rules that you don't have to necessarily go by,
and then eventually end up breaking them at some point. And one day I was like, let me just try something and see how I like it.
That's cool though, because it shows me that you have a baseline appreciation and you're good at being disciplined.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That's what that is, discipline. Being able to make these rules for yourself that you don't break even though nobody cares. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And I've had to learn how to do that over the course of my life because I was a scatterbrained child. I'm amazed. Yeah, I'm amazed my parents didn't institutionalize me or something because I was one of those kids that just you couldn't, and who knows, maybe I went undiagnosed with something for the longest time, but you couldn't keep me focused on any one. My mom got to a point, bless you, Mom, if you see this episode, bless you to the moon and back. She ended up leaving Post-it notes everywhere
Oh, that's what's up.
Little reminders, like on the front door. Hey, don't forget you're this. Don't forget you're that. In the bathroom. Hey, don't forget to, clean this before you go. Or in the laundry room. Hey, don't forget to, grab this out of the dryer. And, like she would just leave these little notes for me to help me stay focused. And so I think as I've gotten older, realizing that obviously she couldn't do that for me forever, I had to start getting kind of almost militant with how I kind of went through life in some regards. And it's worked out well. But I'm trying to bust through some of that because I need to bust through some of that. And that's where this comes from.
That's what I'm actually surprised that you're saying that because that's so not you now as far as where somebody needs to give you constant, steady reminders. So it's very funny to hear you say that because like I was almost like, well, we were just talking about you wearing glasses on your...
Because it won't make sense for me to wear glasses.
Yeah, but then but your tone, like this, I was like, it's fine. Like,
but my character didn't start off with glasses.
After you started doing all that. And
I'm not a mortal creature in the thing that I do.
So are we all going to wear glasses? I can do that shit too.
I'm probably eventually going to need, everyone in my family has glasses. So I will eventually need them.
You've been hanging on strong then because, man, I got out the game early.
And I don't eat carrots. That beta carotene thing's a myth, by the way. Don't believe the hype. I hate carrots.
And I can swim. So we're just debunking this.
What?
Go ahead.
Anyway.
Mimi, you remember that bone density thing that somebody was saying?
Somebody not being me, I hope you
No. Like, there was
somebody. A different white person.
No. She was actually Hispanic. She was like, I was reading all these things online saying that, black people's bones are heavier, so that's why they can't float. I float.
That's good. I'm glad for you. That's an important, life-saving skill to have to be able to tread water. That's good.
It is.
So what are you watching on TV?
Watching TV, bro. I'm becoming the TV.
Yeah, like for real.
Actually, no, I haven't. I have not this whole week. I haven't watched TV at all this week. Now that I think about it, because I've been either doing my TikTok stuff, or I've been doing research about like the subject that we're going to be talking about a little bit later. But that has taken up a ton of my time. So no, I haven't. Maybe listening to background music on YouTube on my TV. Boys. So if that's watching TV, that's the kind of TV I've been watching this week.
I thought you were saying listening to Backstreet Boys, and I was like, okay.
Well, not lately.
Okay.
Not lately.
It'd be Jam Out.
Little JC okay. I was thinking that would be like a dope versus Backstreet Boys versus NSYNC, but they would never do it. I don't think Backstreet Boys have 20 though. I think that's part, or NSYNC. I don't think these groups actually have 20.
No, yes, they do.
They do.
They have 20 songs?
Yes. Actually, some of them have like 2-3 albums.
No. I'm talking about 20 songs that would like, they have a strong 20.
Yes.
Okay. We're after the pod. You're gonna have to
talk about like first off, the verses started out with like all hip hop artists. Like we talk about rappers, and you talk about the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC not having as many like hits as them. As
20 solid.
Look. Just because it's not something you listen to.
Nah. It's like
doesn't mean that
you're putting the cultural card on me.
Maybe people who look like me have a different experience.
Like I don't know. I guess the Backstreet Boys B-sides don't do it for me. I guess that's what's going on.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Because like if you talk about like people who got songs, chart toppers, and all that kind of stuff. Like, they up in there. They all up in there with all the rest of the pop music legends.
The boy bands, the girl bands. They had their moment. They had their moment in the sun.
If the rappers in the late 90s and early 2000s had as many hits as they do, like, them bands definitely did.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, so
I think they got a strong... they may have a strong 10, but 20 is where you get a little
We'll tell you what. We'll research after the show, and we'll prove you wrong.
You got to, like, listen people... in your mind that had 20, and I just want to see where your head is at because
as far as groups,
whatever you mean 20. Like, what do you mean by 20?
I like to be honest. So I love Monica. Monica did not have really 20.
No.
See, but she's an artist that's been around since the 90s and puts out. But like some people just don't have 20. They may have 15.
So.
But no, but I'm saying that's kind of I guess that was kind of my point, is that I'm not saying they don't have hits. Mm-hmm. I'm saying that do you have 20 songs that resonate with people? And that's only a certain class. I think we stretch it because we wanted to see Brandy Monica. We wanted to see some of these acts against one another, but they didn't necessarily have. Now this is a versus podcast. Sorry, guys. But they didn't necessarily have, like, Fat Joe, to me, doesn't have 20.
No.
Mm-mm.
But Ja Rule does have 20, uniquely that way. But that's what I'm saying. But that's
what
levels.
I'm saying. Like, Ja Rule, like, crossed over at some point in his career, right, to like mainstream pop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. You cross over from any genre to mainstream pop, it's almost guaranteed that you're going to do way better in terms of like sales numbers and people just, the amount of the size of your fan base.
It just swells.
Yeah. It just like you hitting like the mainstream pop stage, like you got them hits, yo. Like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys both around for like before, the groups kind of started doing their own thing around for at least 10 years. Mm-hmm. So They got the hits.
And they were constantly like putting out like the latest like chart toppers. Constantly. Like in like a 10, 12 year span of time.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Sweden and all them songwriters over there.
It's a talented bunch.
Yeah. Like for real. Like no bull. Like for real.
So what was your week, Wally? I mean, not what your week, but how was your what are you watching?
Oh man. I would be watching TV like shit. I'm a comedy and action kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? I love laughing at stuff, and everybody's like looking at explosions and shit. Let's see. I recently wrapped up on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It was tough to see that one go because that was one of my favorites. That jump is hilarious, and they ended it too early, but I understand why. Nobody really felt right making a funny cop show anymore, I don't think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the entire last season didn't have much to do with the police department outside of like people's like position at work. Not a lot of actual police work and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But that's been good. I've been watching like all the cartoons on Fox, you know what I'm saying? One of my favorite newer ones is Housebroken.
Housebroken.
Yes, Housebroken's great, especially if you have pets, dogs in particular. Mm-hmm. So Housebroken is Lisa Kudrow plays the main character. She plays a white standard poodle.
Of course, because of course she does.
Yes. So her owner. So basically, her name's Honey. Honey hosts a therapy group for the neighborhood dogs, right? She's like a counselor or whatever. And they all come over her house and like, be having a group session and stuff like that. And the stories are based off that. But like, the reason I like it is because, it's hilarious. It's written well, but the dog stuff in it is just so like real. Like you be watching an animated show and like there's a dog, but they talk and, they usually act like a human, but it only goes so far, like Brian Griffin off Family Guy.
Right.
But then you watch, like, have you seen that movie Isle of Dogs before? The Wes Anderson one? Okay, never mind.
No.
When the dogs be doing realistic dog shit in the middle of their sentence, like, they'll be sitting there talking and then just start scratching their ear hard as shit. Or, just some of the conversations that you have, like, yo, that's exactly what my dog be thinking. It has to be. Mm-hmm. But it's a funny show.
I do wonder sometimes, like, what my dog is thinking.
Oh, I wonder that all the time. And, they're actually pretty good at telling me. Both of them. My boys they wild, man.
Well, because the one is a breed that's close to mine.
Yeah, he's a multi-poo.
Mm-hmm, a poo mix. And those, so much personality.
Yes, he's the one with the personality.
They always have a lot to say.
Yeah.
Because my girl at home, she always has a lot to say.
Big J met Taz.
Oh, yeah?
And
did you guys become friends?
No, like I say, I think we told a little bit about that
a few weeks ago.
Yeah, but it was cool because they just have a lot of energy. It was actually the funniest thing was watching them because they have so different personalities when they're like going to go do their business.
Yeah,
because one's like, all right, I'm outside.
Let's get it done.
Let's get it done right here. The other one likes to like kind of walk around, get a lay of the land. like you said, does the whole little circle thing.
Yeah, he like spins around on his back foot right before he's about to get down.
Break dances before he poops.
He'd be like spinning around trying to survey the entire area. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? He's done that since he was a puppy. That's the older one, Sushi. Taz, his thing is full sprint and then just stop. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
and he gets it done quick. He go outside, we out there for like 30 seconds, and he's already found his spot.
Well, with the spinning thing, scientists have been able to figure out that, I mean, obviously not every dog does this, but like when a dog spins before they're trying to find like the perfect to-go place, they're actually trying to find like, I think it's magnetic east. They're trying to find a direction, like a magnetic compass direction. I don't know why, but that's what they've been able to figure out. Most dogs, when they do the spinny thing, they're trying to find one of the magnitude, like one of the magnetic points on a compass. And then they look at you, their alpha, for comfort.
Yeah.
Because they're like, okay, I'm in a very vulnerable place right now. I need to make sure that you're watching me for predators so I don't get eaten.
It's very weird to just be having your dog just full squat looking you dead in the eye.
Yeah, like...
Could you imagine somebody looking at you while you're
No.
Yo, speaking of that though, there's one time in front of my complex, Chris said she saw this dude walking down the street and like in front of the bushes in front of our building, and he kind of like walked behind the bushes, and she was like, what is he doing? And she walked past, he was taking a dump just inside the bushes.
He was pulling the smoky?
I mean, at least he was trying to be kind of like slick about it. He wasn't trying to just like in the middle of the road.
It was not that slick because the bushes didn't give much coverage.
Ew.
You know what I'm saying? Like he just took a dump and then stood up and walked down the street.
Oh no! Oh no! That's so so gross.
It is what it is.
I guess it's natural. Humans do it, but still. Oh God.
Nah, you don't have to deal with that. But we kind of got off topic.
Yeah, we did.
Housebroken's a fun show.
What have you been watching?
So there's a show. I'm a completionist, so once I start watching a show, I can't. So DC had a show called Titans.
Yes, I'll be watching Titans too.
Yeah, so DC's show called Titans, it was on the DC streaming service, and then DC's like, all right, we want to sell out, so they sell themselves out to HBO Max, which is cool because then that meant I can just stop paying for DC streaming service, which is they don't tell you about that. So I just took myself off that end because I already had HBO Max. It's a show that I had to condition myself to understand it's not about them fighting crime. It's about them dealing with each other because they're a little too powerful for the people they're going up against. So most of the time they try to split the group up so that they're not actually focused on one thing. Because when they focus on the one problem that supposedly is an issue, like they kick its ass very easily. Because they have like Superboy and like alien superheroes and like metahumans and like Diana Troy, who's like Wonder Woman's like
fucking
cousin or something. Like they literally have like real people. Like it's not like they have a whole bunch of costume superheroes. They have like a nice little squad that would like, you know, I mean, they're not taking on Justice League, but they're doing pretty good over there. But it's also one of those situations where it's for me, like this season is like very disjointed. Season 3 is like,
it's weird.
Yeah, because first 3 episodes, I was like, we're going to a place that I really like. Has momentum. Like the Red Hood situation was great, but then it just got like, oh, okay, now we got to slow it down because we don't have as much plot in these middle parts, and it's, you know, and so that I just think that
just sounds like bad screenwriting to me.
It is season 3 though. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter what, like ain't nobody gonna get through the entire series like perfect. You know what I'm saying? There's gonna be like season 3 is like prime for like a slowdown.
I still like it. It's just one of those situations where you could tell where writers write them because you're writing for a particular season. So let's say you're writing for season 2. Wherever you go, you still have to sort of tie up loose ends. And there are no good ways to do that sometimes when you're doing a show. It's like sometimes, because if you're trying to make this season 2 unique and special, okay, we're going to kill this person off. well, we still want them a part of the show. Now we have to do Simone Biles level gymnastics to bring them back on the show in a way that makes sense. Yeah. And so let's have a whole episode where we're having exploring the underworld and like do all the rest of this kind of stuff. And it's just like, okay, like this is just a way to.
I mean, but it's like, I haven't seen that episode yet, but like it's the character, she's basically Satan, though. Like, of course they're gonna go down there. She's Satan's spawn. Of course they gonna go down there and explore the underworld. And she's been gone for the entire season.
Yeah, but see, that's what I'm saying. Is like you wrote yourself into a situation where
I don't know that they wrote themselves into that or that they took source material and that's what happened in the comic books.
Well, that's true.
More than likely what happened with that.
No, that's true. But then
and they just stretched it out a little bit.
But then you kind of have to adapt it because she's one of your main characters. I've been used to her for like seasons 1 and 2.
I ain't miss her at the beginning of season 3 at all. Like I was like, where is she? But after like the second episode, it's just whatever.
See, but then Garth is annoying to me.
What? No, Gar is the best, yo. Gar is the moral compass of the group. Everybody else be tripping and Gar be the mediator. Like he be the one calming everybody down. He be the one with the most sense, and they just be shitting on him.
He's just whining to me. See, I guess that's what. See, this is where I guess this is where we're diverging on. Is like I see Gar as like, all right, you have the least amount of stuff going on. Like everybody at least has stuff that is like heavy, and you're just like, I'm struggling to find relevance. What animal can I turn into? And it's that like,
you way over. Like, nah, it's not what happened at all.
I'm gonna have to catch up on this because this y'all are clearly like in this show, so I'm gonna have to catch up to figure out.
Gar is Beast Boy. He's I don't know if you've seen that superhero. The green little kid. He turns into a tiger, usually with a bunch of other different animals and stuff. But everybody had stuff going on. But Gar was pretty much just like chilling. But when they get back into doing things, they get back into having to like go out and fight people and stuff. Everybody got their own thing going on, and they all like going off on tangents, doing crazy stuff. And Gar is the one in the middle, like, yo, reel it in. We gotta like execute this plan. We need to be here at this time. You know what I mean? Like when everybody else going off like trying like halfway killing people, flying off the handle, and just Nightwing just be on some other stuff. Like he just be on doing his own thing like Batman. You know what I mean? So
I mean, every group needs a voice of reason.
Starfire used him as the pocketbook for an episode. Like he's like, you knocked me out and you put me in the trunk, and it's like he's like, what is he?
That was messed up. Like why did she do that to him, yo? Like it's not like why are you focusing on the fact that it happened? Like why did it happen? Because Starfire was being an asshole.
No, she got okay.
No, it wasn't because she was being an asshole.
Yeah, I was about to say. I was about to see.
But that's usually what it is.
But I was like, wait a minute.
That was different because she didn't know what she was doing. Either.
But see, that's what I was getting ready to say. But then I was like, I don't want to get that involved. And you know what I'm saying? Like, especially if they haven't seen it. We did it.
Yeah, we turned this into a show review.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, wait. But yeah, that's pretty much.
Titans is a solid show. It's there's some weird shit going on. And it's kind of slow a little bit right now, but it's a good show.
And then I'm also waiting for a show on Netflix called On My Block. So it's like pretty much the rated R version of The Wonder Years.
So,
So yeah,
that's right. I heard about that.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to because I didn't really like season 3, but this is their last season, so hopefully. They kind of tie up a couple of things, and so it's that's kind of it. But there's not a lot of there's not a lot of shows that everybody watches. That like I was just telling Mimi earlier on this week, it's like there's a lot of shows that a lot of people tend to all kind of niche shows that people may watch, to themselves, but nobody really watches shows all together.
It's too much content out there for a bunch of different people to just be watching the same thing all the time, It's just very likely that you get around people you don't hang around with as much, start talking about TV, and everybody watches something different.
Well, and especially since you don't really have kind of the big boom of the long running shows. Like Game of Thrones was whether you enjoyed how it ended or not, that is a totally different conversation. However, for years, we all were able to kind of every week gather around the campfire and go, so did you see the latest, episode? And you were able to talk about it. And it didn't matter really, if everyone watched it, it didn't really matter what other kind of person you were, your personality. If you could kind of unify around that and have something to talk about, like that was cool. And personally, I miss that. I miss that because it's really an easy way for you to like start conversations with other people.
I don't give a shit about that.
See, no, but in a world
that makes me sad, Wally.
Yeah, I mean,
it makes me sad.
In a world that's full of like, are you a Republican or a Democrat all the time? Like, it was nice to have a show that, we may not agree politically, but yeah.
But did you see what Khaleesi wrecked this week?
Yeah, like it was cool to kind of do it that way, and then there are certain things that weren't turned into like, well, she's really a lefty because she's, you know what I'm saying? No one did that. Everybody was just like, oh yeah, like Denise Targaryen is blah 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 blah, or Jon Snow is like, just too whiny or something, like something like that. So,
yeah. So as far as like watching TV, I missed that part, but. But I mean, like I said, like I haven't been watching any TV.
I'm gonna let y'all know now. Like, there's a laundry list of shows that are just not coming to my head right now that I should be watching. So like, if I happen to drop some random stuff in because it's related to something somebody said,
go for it. I mean, we binged like during the pandemic, like when we were shut down for all those weeks. I have never binged so many documentaries and random ass TV shows that I just either didn't have the time for or didn't know about.
That's another really hilarious show is AP Bio on Peacock.
See, I don't watch anything on Peacock.
Yeah, that show is hilarious. It's got Patton Oswalt in it, and
he's funny.
The dude, I forget the guy's name. He was on that fucking Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
The neurotic one.
The really, really douchey one.
Oh my God, what is his name? I can see his face.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna bug me now.
I haven't watched the cock since the Olympics were on.
Can you not?
Can you what? Hold on.
What? What?
Why?
Because what?
Why?
Like, we don't, like, there's nothing wrong with you talking about your cock watching activities, but, like, you can't just throw it in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not going for shock like that on here.
Bro.
What?
Why? You know exactly what you did.
I didn't know you'd be watching cocks. I didn't know that what you was into.
Peacock, Jesus.
Okay, all right,
yeah,
cool.
Peacock.
Just so we're clear, yeah, Peacock. Anyway, AP Bio is a funny ass show on Peacock. Y'all should watch it. It's about a science class, and the teacher, he is a disgraced professor that got fired from Harvard.
Advanced placement. I was like, what is?
Oh.
I was like, wait. I thought it was like an
My
agricultural.
bad. Yeah, it's about a high school. Yeah,
I
AP Bio class.
AP Bio.
I wasn't all that smart at high school.
Shit. You couldn't have paid me to take an AP class. There's no way.
Yeah, I got close once, and I was like, nah, I'm not going to take the test.
No.
I was talking to my English teacher. I was like, I could do AP, right? He's like, why would you? Like, this is how shitty got school. He's like, why would you want to work harder? Last year was high school. He's like, why would you want to work harder? You don't. It's cool.
Your senior year?
No, I was talking to him in my 11th grade year, and I was like, I could probably take like AP, like, advanced placement in 12th grade.
He was keeping it real.
And he was like, why would you want to work harder?
Like you could, but why?
Yeah.
I took honors anatomy my senior year. Like, that was a mistake. A mistake. Anatomy, I was going nowhere near science in college. You know what I'm saying? And like, it was a lot.
I mean, you're talking to two massage therapists, so that probably would have been right up our alley.
Yeah, I didn't go into anatomy until after high school. So, like, all that Latin stuff was, like, way over my head.
Oh, see, I would have loved every second of that.
That class was a college-level course, and it was a mess.
I would have loved every second of that. Honestly, one of the things that I want to get done in the next few years is be able to, like, go and, well, if COVID will ever allow it, like, to go and do, like, an observation for surgery.
I heard good news about that. Go ahead.
Surgery?
No, about, like, COVID being over. Apparently, like, some epidemiologists are starting to say that most things like this have a 2-year life cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So spring of 2022 should be the kind of where this is kind of is naturally supposed to be kind of over.
Like the turnaround year.
That's hilarious because
despite of ourselves, like it would have it's gotten to everybody that it's going to get to, because they were going by like the models of like the Spanish flu and stuff like that. But like I said, they're two different things. I don't know. I might me and Fauci don't hang out.
No, you're right. But this is it happened. Things wrapping up per se in the spring of 2022 is what people were saying when the lockdown first started and people was acting stupid. I would literally used to say that all the time. All right, we're gonna be in the house till 2022. It was March 2020.
I mean, not wrong.
All these dead people.
Almost 700,000 now. Just in our country alone. That's just nuts. That's wild. So wild.
Yeah, let's not get
But
on
outside
COVID
of
again.
outside of that, like there's more wild shit for us to be able to talk about in the world. So let's move on. Because a few weeks ago when we were doing a segment where I was, talking about like, with the whole Texas abortion ban and things like that, that led me down several different rabbit holes in regards to several different kinds of subjects. But one thing that kept popping up was this this organization called MMIW. Have either of you heard? Prior to me talking about it,
I
either
Googled it real quick, but nah.
Okay.
Prior to
like me bringing it up.
I've heard of this issue. I didn't know the acronym.
I didn't know about the specific organization. Yeah.
Right. So for those of you who don't know, MMIW stands for Murdered and Missing Indigenous Women. And in the last few years, it's been an organization that has been working hard to bring awareness to the plight of basically missing and murdered Indigenous women. But, it's what I found in my research is there is woeful record keeping with all of this. Like the MMIW organization is basically designed to raise awareness about the fact that this is even a problem, that thousands of women and children, like women and young girls specifically, over the last 10 years have been either killed or abducted at alarming rates. And it's never really talked about. And for the longest time, it was, well, we're not going to talk about it because we tried going to like our local police, or we tried talking to our governmental representatives, or we tried getting legislation passed to start doing things to help fix the problem or raise awareness. And it kept getting either brushed aside or put on pause or whatever. And it's become, in my research, I've been able to figure out that part of the initial problem with this whole women being abducted and raped and murdered and all this stuff is the fact that there's such poor communication between the First Nations people and the United States government in its entirety, like from the top all the way down to local government. And the MMIW organization is really just kind of a symptom of a bigger, deeper problem. The poor quality of life on reservations, not just here in the United States, but also in Canada. I don't know if on social media you guys had heard about the residential schools where the bodies of at the making of recording of this episode, I think they're close to finding 7,000 kids, remains of children buried in mass graves around these like residential schools, primarily right now up in Canada, but the rest of the residential schools like down in the US haven't really been even examined yet, so that number is most likely going to climb. But I think the thing is, like, obviously there's so much about this to talk about, so what started as one thing for me to want to talk about really kind of, I guess I just want to do an awareness raising thing, because this is a problem on lots of different levels, and with these women, the harm coming to these women is simply one layer of many layers, specifically to this group of people, this demographic of people in our country and in Canada, and really just kind of in the Americas from north to south. And it's not talked about. Like in the mainstream media, it's not talked about. In schools, it's not talked about. There are so many different things that injustices and abuses that haven't been talked about that I didn't even know about. And it's shocking, and it's disheartening, and it really needs to change. It really needs to change, because aside from, with Texas doing their abortion ban, they've also gone to the Supreme Court of the United States and asked to have a piece of legislation be cut down where basically it's protecting Indigenous children in their homes from being forcibly taken and rehomed to, and I quote, good Christian families to be basically integrated into mainstream society. And I think that piece of legislation was established in the late 70s, and it's widely been left alone up until now. But they're talking about basically striking that and making it so that for any reason, really, the federal government could come in and remove these children from these homes and rehome them just because they can. And there's a few websites, things that I want to at least, I don't know, maybe we could
Yeah, I'm gonna handle that.
Yeah. All right. So one of the things that we can do as far as resources and go, there's a coalition to stop violence against Native women, and you can find that at www.csvanw.org/MMIW. There's also an MMIW official Facebook webpage. And so, facebook.com/MMIWUSA. So it'll also probably include some information about the issue with Canada, but because they're so linked that sometimes you get some bleed over. So, just be aware of that. The Sovereign Bodies Institute, which is www.sovereignbodies.org. And I think part of the problem is before you can have a really in-depth conversation about why are Indigenous women missing? Why are they being abducted? Why are they being murdered at such a high rate? Is because we don't even know it's a problem. We don't know it's a problem because it's kept to, it's on the reservations, so it's the reservations problem. And honestly, a lot of these women who go missing and who end up getting murdered, a lot of it ends up happening off reservation, but the reservations can't do anything because they don't have jurisdiction outside of their reservations. And same thing, there's a lot that the federal government doesn't mess with internally with the reservations. And it's just something that we need to be talking about in a sense of being just educated that the problem even exists, just in general. Because there is stuff that we can do to raise awareness about this. And, things on social media have made this a growing issue, which has been good. But there's always more to learn. There's always more to learn. Because even if you don't feel like this affects you, at some point, just the fact that it's a humanitarian issue, that alone should be enough to want to do something, to at least, educate yourself about the problem in general. So.
Yeah, this organization is specifically about Indigenous women because, they face, a real specific challenge because of the way they, live in this country.
Yep.
But all that definitely ties into, the whole human trafficking that, a lot of Black girls going missing.
Yep.
In this area, especially a couple of years ago, was, really bad. It was almost, every couple of weeks you'd hear a story about a, little young 12, 13-year-old girl just missing. Mm-hmm. So, it's tied. It's all tied in together. You know what I'm saying? Indigenous women face their challenges, but, don't think for a second that this issue won't touch people that you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the more you learn, the more you can just be aware. And the more that the average citizen is aware, it makes it harder for the, I guess to sound naive, it makes it harder for the bad guys to do bad guy shit when most of us kind of have our heads now on a swivel. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah. Big J, you want to add anything to this?
It's tough because I think I may have said this to you when you first talked about it. It's just tough because I don't know what goes on the reservation.
No one does.
TV example. Told you it was going to happen. Sorry, real quick. Stumptown. Anybody heard that show before? Mm-mm. It's about a couple cops, detectives out in Portland, Oregon. Mm-hmm. And part of the story is that they have these crimes they got to investigate, but there's a reservation up there and they don't want nobody up in their stuff for a whole bunch of different reasons. There's a lot of push and pull there just because of that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, continue. Sorry. I just figured I'd throw that out there because that was apparently from what I've heard is a pretty solid example of how it'll go down in real life, that tension that's just there.
It's like a wall of silence just because there's no relationship, no healthy, positive, trusting relationship between tribal life, people living on reservations, and anyone who's basically linked to the United States government or the Canadian government. So, but yeah.
And then also is one of those situations. I'm not sure how much because I'm not as hip to nation culture in general. I'm not sure if have they ever valued women that way.
Yes. Many of the tribal societies are very matriarchal.
Yeah, that's the kind of the stuff like, and if they did before, do they do now?
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing with, because I can only go by American stuff right now. Like Wally said, there's other women that go missing just in our backyard, and there's this issue about women's rights as like a whole collective is one that we haven't that gets kind of talked about. It gets to be a hashtag, but it doesn't seem like, for as serious as the problem is, it doesn't feel like it moves quite fast enough.
Yeah, that's what everything. It never moves fast enough, right? Like there's always
not when it matters.
Yeah, like there's always enough, even in the most dire situations. There's always enough pushback to not let the issue be resolved or be pushed forward or anything like that. Yeah, you right on point.
Yeah, and it is unfortunate because you'd like to think that, for something that really is a big problem, you would like to think that there are people out there who would want to do everything they could to either raise awareness or help be part of the solution or work together to make sure that, because it's not like, unfortunately, like with the whole Gabby Petito thing, she went missing and was promptly found.
Yeah, that was all over the news.
Promptly found.
And that was really annoying.
And
they tracked her move every single day that week when I was scheduling my little news notifications for work. It was like a different story about a different point in time in that weekend.
Right.
Different location, different people they were talking to.
Right.
See, all over the place.
I thought that made me want to throw up in my mouth. Not because, hey, when someone's missing, please go find them. It has nothing to do with her. It's how much attention that got.
And that's the thing.
And that was because I was like, it's disproportionate.
Yeah, that's the main thing we're hitting on here. It's always disproportionate, like way too much in other directions. It's crazy.
Anytime someone is missing is a problem because that's a human being with a family, with a life that has been completely turned upside down. And the fact that, it's not my community, so I really shouldn't, it's not my business, it's not my problem. Yeah, if you consider yourself a human being, this kind of stuff needs to go across like color, religion, all that. It needs to be just a human being is missing. The human being needs to be found.
I wonder how, if we really comb through news outlets across the country, how many similar stories will we have found that happen in the same time frame? You know what I'm saying? I'm quite certain there's at least a few.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You were right. It doesn't get the same type of attention and. We all know why. It is.
It is what it is, honestly, and it's the loud part, very quiet. It is. So
I think for me, just to close it out, I guess I just had an issue. It's good to raise awareness to this. Just when it comes down to, like you were saying about before we started, about solutions, because it's a very delicate dance that we do with Native American sovereignty and what we hold moral and important. It's a very delicate dance. It's one that doesn't have a lot of trust, especially from one side. And I feel very uncomfortable saying, hey, you guys need to do this better, moralizing to Native Americans. And because there's a lot of stuff that's wrong. There's a lot of poverty. There's a lot of drinking. There's a lot of drug use in these communities. And a lot of change, unfortunately, has to kind of happen within. An example of it is, I know with Black Panthers back in the 70s, they would do a lot of situations where they would patrol their communities. Well, the Black Panthers, on whole, were about policing and controlling their community and making sure that people had education, food, and protection. And I was tying that to Native Americans was, if this issue is as significant as I think it is, they need to take care of it in that way and make sure. And I'm not saying they're not doing anything about it. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, we just don't know.
I'm just saying that situation, I just know how it was handled before in other communities, minority communities, and so I would just really hope that that was sort of the same situation. So, but like I said, these laws are very tricky. These treatings are very tricky. Like apparently, if you do something in the reservation, you can't get really prosecuted to the same laws that you would federally because it's not the same thing. So that's why I say this: the more, like she was saying before the podcast, the more you get into the details of this, is the more you start to feel like, oh, this isn't just one problem. This is many different problems.
And then on top of all of that, right, we talk about like probably one of the most unsalvageable relationships between two groups of people, like, or like one of the top 5, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, it's one of those relationships that like really cannot be fixed. It's just got to be managed.
Yeah.
Because, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's probably one of the major things. That attitude's been held for, 400 some years.
Yeah.
And then we just keep, because I have to be American, because since I'm American, I kind of have to take on stuff that maybe I had nothing, my people look like me had nothing to do with. But we're still doing stuff with Native Americans where, oh yeah, cool, you get to have your land unless it runs through a convenient pipeline. Yeah. And then we get to completely.
Oh, no. The pipeline gets built on treaty land. It's not, this land happens to just be here. No, it's like that's part of the problem. Like I'd mentioned to you at the beginning of before we started recording, like between the United States government and the First Nations, like there are over 326 treaties just here in the United States, not counting Canada, 320 some treaties. Every single one of them in some capacity or another has been broken by the United States government.
But then
over 300.
The United States government can just take your land anyway.
But that's the problem. No. If you're gonna have an establishment that says, hey, we're gonna write this official piece of paper that says this boundary here is yours, 100% yours, and we will not mess with it in any way, shape, or form. But then you go and you start damaging the land, you start building things on it, you start mucking up the resources on that land. I mean, like, I don't even know, like, how you even justify that.
Oh, I'm talking about in general. The government can take your land in general.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't.
An eminent domain thing.
It doesn't. So that's not even anything uniquely.
They're all, like, on the same page.
Yeah, like, government, like, that's why I'm, like, when people start trying to say about big government, I'm like, the parts where you guys should be protesting is the parts where you don't say shit.
Like, missing the point out here. Everybody just be missing the point.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, there's points where like farmers and people have like literally said the government is like, here's the deal, you either take it or we're going to take it anyway.
Right.
It's like you don't have a choice. So yeah, like this is always the government can Bigfoot any situation.
And this is why people draw such big a line between like politicians on one side and the other, because it's like, they both be bad, but like the people on one side really be doing all they can to get you to like vote directly against your best interests, like in multiple cases. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just a little bit more like messed up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, there just should be. Yeah, anyway.
But try and doctor it up to make it feel like this is actually for your benefit.
Yeah, it's good for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's just get out there. We'll for people who are listening to the podcast, we'll put the links, in the description and with YouTube. I mean, we'll probably have them flashed up here all fancy, courtesy of this guy. But yeah, just get out there. Just start, even if you aren't looking to change your mind about anything, just to at least educate yourself a bit on the fact that it is a problem and it's a deep-rooted, multi-layered problem.
Right.
And then even in some small way, just learning about it on your end is helpful. It helps to just first realize that there is a problem and that, there's ways you can do something about it if you want to. So, but in terms of educating ourselves, that leads us to our last item of the day. So Big J and I have clients who are teachers of various grades. And we've noticed a common theme for some of these teachers, especially with the young students. This whole being out of school a year and a half, these kids have forgotten how to be in public.
Oh, man.
In like group settings.
For me, it's like when I had a teacher that was like, oh yeah, like she was in third grade. And I think this is mainly like, what was it? There's middle school, high school, and like, was it, call it primary school?
Elementary. Elementary, middle, and high school.
Okay. So the elementary school kids mostly have a problem of, since they weren't like, they don't have 6 solid years straight of being indoctrinated into a system. They weren't as used to the routine of being around other kids.
Yeah. The last time they were in school, they were in first grade.
Yeah. And so it's hard for them to now have independent thinking skills, not depend on, because so their adult figure in their life was their parents for the past year and a half, especially in this area, like the northern schools. Like the southern schools, they went back to school last year. But the northern schools, they kind of sat it this year out, especially in Virginia where we're at. And they were like, their situation became mom and dad were everything. They were our teacher, they were our emotional support. And when you're someone's teacher and emotional support, oh yeah, little Johnny, you don't have to you could do your math problem later. You don't have to do it right now. That's not what the teacher's there to do. No, we're not. This isn't a negotiation. I say this is what you have to do because I'm the authority figure. And a lot of parents were tapping out on, I could be your authority figure on things that you're doing wrong as far as, as my child. But as a teacher, I'm wearing too many hats. Yeah. And now you're having these teachers getting these kids who don't have independent thinking skills, who need constant reinforcement because that's where they were getting at home. And they're like feral pigs. They're like going back into school and they don't really know how to go through the situation and like how they're supposed to function within a group environment, because also these kids ain't outside no more. They're not around other kids.
No. Especially like on top of all that, like the point was for everybody to stay inside anyway. You know what I mean? So
stay away from other people.
Even more so than usual. Like,
it's true.
Yeah. I ain't thinking like if I know I had the trouble going outside and being a person, I still do. So I can only imagine what it would have been like if I was like 7.
It's hard. It's been hard for everybody. But our teachers this past year and a half, man, they've had to go through some stuff that their school for learning how to be a teacher never prepared them for this. So it's like everyone needs to give everybody some grace over the next probably two years. I think, while things really decompress and come back to normal, because it's been wild in some of these schools and some of these classrooms.
Parents that a year ago were on like Twitter and stuff talking about like, I don't care no more. Like,
I'm done.
They were ready to risk it all, just get them kids into school again.
Yep.
Like it was.
Yep.
They were like, the risk of this disease spreading this much is definitely a better situation to be in than what's happening right now.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what what teachers are now having to pick up the pieces of is that kind. And I had a parent tell me, she was like, "Yeah, my kid is not athletic. Like, she has an older sister who she's more athletic than." But she's like, her fine motor skill has gone to crap over the past year and a half because she hasn't had PE. She hasn't had recess. She has not had to use she's extremely uncoordinated right now. And you don't realize how important how important school is until you take that aspect away. So
even the like throwaway subjects that people be treating like they're throwaway subjects.
Realizing they're pretty important now.
Like them little stuff, like, like I don't know how my bad. I don't know how it was, when you were in like elementary school or even you for real. In PG County, like in my school, we had an art teacher, right? That art teacher used to travel around to a bunch of different schools, and we ended up having an art class like once every 2-3 months or something like that whenever we could get her.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it was when I was in elementary school. And I know that it's gotten probably not that much better. And then on top of that, the pandemic, like, this this is going to be a lot for a lot of people over the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even if we end up, kind of recovering more or less from being overrun in some parts of the country with COVID, like there's so many aspects of society that we're all just going to have to give each other some grace and patience and just understand that there was no rule book, no guidebook, no playlist for how this was supposed to go.
Yes, there was.
Well,
okay.
I mean, the initial issue, but the trickle-down effect on society.
I feel you like if we start at like, we here now, so what do we do? Like,
right.
Yeah, you're right.
Right.
You're
like
right.
There was no real structure for that.
Like it wasn't a thing where like there was a book sitting around and nobody opened it. It was
in
like
case
somebody,
of pandemic.
it was like that, somebody took that book because it did exist. Somebody took that joint and like threw it in a fire, threw it in the trash. That's what happened.
Well, now we got to start from scratch essentially. Yeah. So just between parents, teachers, kids, your local gas station workers, your wait staff, your barista, coffee shop work, like everyone.
Uber Eats drivers.
Yes, y'all just.
Shout out to you, Kennedy.
Take a breath, everybody, and just try to just remember that we're all getting through this the best way we know how. Mm-hmm. And we'll get through it, but we've got to do it as a group. We can't keep fighting each other like this. We've got to just understand that nothing's normal, and we're trying to get there, but just chill.
Yeah, keep it in mind, and keep in mind the fact that, like, neither you or anybody that you talking to, like, actually knows what's going on and how to fix all these issues. Mm-hmm. So, like, that's one thing to keep in mind. Like, there's people who are experts in certain areas, and you should be listening to them and going seeking that information.
Not your Facebook experts.
Yeah. I feel like we repeat that theme every week, but, like,
no one's listening. No one listens.
And Nicki Minaj isn't probably the best person to be going to with your COVID needs.
She's a sociopath, straight up. Straight up.
You good, Mimi?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Did you have a word this week?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I have a word this week.
Let's go.
Actually, it's kind of lost my pen. That's okay. Actually, it kind of is in keeping with like what we were talking about with MMIW. But so the word of the week. I was gonna say y'all don't look, don't peek. The word of the week is ululation.
What letters does that start with?
U.
Damn. I act like if it was a Y, it would have been different.
No.
Okay. Yeah, hold on, say it again.
Hold on, I'm trying to think about it too much. Ululation.
Ululation.
Mm-hmm. Ululation. Ululation.
I legit have no idea. I can't work that one out.
Yeah. I'll give you a hint.
Yeah, talk to me.
Think Xena warrior princess. I know I'm dating myself right now, but that's okay. I fully accept this.
I was like, I'm gonna have to pull a Wally sidetrack. Can when I left to go to Italy, back in like '95, there were certain, like when I came back in like '98, there was only a certain amount of shows that were actually still on TV, which is actually really funny when you think about it. Mm-hmm. That show was still on. So it made me feel like, oh, this show's been on forever, but it really hadn't. There's just shows turn over so quickly that is like they give up on shows like within like a year and a half. Mm-hmm. So it just seems like that show was on for a long time. I have no idea.
I can't even.
Only thing I can think of is like Yule Time Log. I don't know.
Ululation. I could just think. I don't know. It's got something to do with some kind of fucking paperwork or some official and shit.
Nope.
I don't know.
Ululation is a long, high-pitched trilling sound used to express grief or joy. No, think like.
Oh!
Xena Warrior Princess. You can also.
Okay.
I knew what you were doing. As soon as you said, I was like, that little annoying thing.
Okoye and them in Wakanda.
And the cool thing about ululation is it is an international cult. That is a multicultural expression. Like that's not just to one particular group of people. That like worldwide, that physical expression is something that has crossed like cultural lines, which is really cool.
You hear that everywhere.
But that's what when you hear that sound, that trilly tongue sound, that's what it's called, is a ululation.
And since we got back on a little bit, I just want to say Disney's really effed up for making the movie called Pocahontas.
Oh, not just that movie.
No, wait.
But in keeping to what we were talking about.
Particularly, that is so... that movie is so problematic.
There's almost nothing right about that movie.
It's so problematic because that girl, they kind of age her up.
They really age her up.
Yeah, because she was like 13.
She was like 11.
God, man.
She was like 11 when they've
her name was not Pocahontas. So when Trump was calling her Warren Pocahontas, it was almost it was almost even worse because I knew he didn't even understand. Well,
of course not.
He didn't understand how he just knew it was like a way of dissing her, which is, I'm not trying to say what he was saying was good.
Yeah.
He just didn't understand the levels of bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Of calling her, of even mentioning Pocahontas.
He knew this was an insult, but he didn't know how deep that jump really
went. It went really deep, calling her Pocahontas in a way that you almost have to say it was like a little kid or like a little 5-year-old with a slingshot. They don't. They understand that this causes damage, but doesn't understand how much damage it can cause.
Yes.
And it was almost like it's just really bad. So, as per usual, I think I remember telling you when Disney Plus launched that Disney has a lot of racial issues, and you and Steve looked at me like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And I'm like, where do I start?
Ton of them joints, yo.
And then the more I thought about it,
zippity day.
Yeah, the more I thought about it, the more I was like thinking back to the cartoons and things like when I watched as a kid. Like as a kid, I didn't notice. You didn't notice. Yeah. But then I'm like, they put that in the movie?
Yeah.
They put that in the cartoon? Holy crap. So learn more, do better, and move forward.
Yes.
Sorry, I just had because when I was looking up the MMIW, thank you. They started off with the story of Pocahontas.
Yep.
So bad. That is it's just tragic.
So bad.
It's tragic. And her actual name is not the name that she was sort of given as like a nickname that she never wanted.
It's
just,
right.
It just fits the theme, right?
Absolutely.
Just nasty.
Like, why was there a country in Africa called Swaziland? You know what I'm saying? Same kind of energy. White people came in and it was like, hey, this shit is named this now.
Yeah. We're going to do straight lines when we make up this map.
Yeah, like, okay.
Or just make up any sort of country because all of these places were a majority, especially in Africa and the Middle East, were nomadic people.
Right.
They didn't draw lines that way. So, just more colonialism for your head top.
Yep. But so hope you guys have a great week. Thanks for joining us this week. For our YouTubers, click like and subscribe, share.
Yes.
Same thing with the podcasters. If y'all are just listening to us, tell your friends about us, share, and we will see you guys next week.
Shout out to you, KP.
Bye.
Oh, yeah. I got to press buttons.